This album, on the other hand, I've been involved since the very beginning. So this one feels very much like feels like my real first Fallujah album in a lot of ways.
That makes sense.
So very excited for this one in particular.
Today we are ranking the albums of Fallujah, starting with the Leper Colony EP in 2009. Their first release amid some demos from the San Francisco technical progressive death metal band, and much like many bands at this time, the first EP doesn't exhibit much of the band's personality. Pretty paint-by-numbers tech death with solid performances, but nothing particularly impressive in the songwriting. Les Serpents Rouges has some allusions to their more melodic directions to come, but it doesn't go all in yet. I'm going to put this one at okay. Then we got The Harvest Wombs in 2011. Their debut full-length, and alternatively, it's impressive how much of their sound already was figured out on this one. They certainly get better, but really this is like 80% there already. The high-speed, highly technical, yet blissful melodic guitar work is as jaw-dropping as ever, with arguably the only major difference to their sound being the production and more brutal and aggressive approach to the vocals. Cerebral hybridization in particular is a good example of just how heavy they get on this one, while still maintaining their trademark guitar sound. Prison of the Mind is another standout with its schizoid alternations. Again, they'd only get better from here, but this is already another top-notch debut, and I think one of the best death metal debuts of the 2010s. I'm going to put it at great tier. Then we have the Nomadic EP in 2013. Another little 3-song EP here to help bridge the gap, and I'd say that this is really the moment where they figured out what they were as a band, like fully formed. Just a deluge of that now trademark union of chuggy rhythm guitars alongside the soaring leads like shooting stars or something. I have trouble describing exactly like what I would compare visually that sound to. Let me know in the comments what you say. And then bringing in the also now very familiar use of ambience. Too short to put too high, but a wonderful tease of things to come. I'm also going to put this one at great tier. But then we got The Flesh Prevails in 2014. Now, this was the album that put the band on most people's radars, myself included. The year it came out, if you were paying attention to death metal, you could not avoid it, and rightly so. This takes the foundation set up by the debut and then nails the execution to perfection at every possible level. The production is like velvet, really allowing the wispy nature of their sound to come through with every note, and the songwriting is just pristine. Every single song is noteworthy, but to name a few highlights, Carved from Stone with that incredible solo around the middle giving way to the alternations of chugs and blissful ambience, the incredible earworm hook of The Night Reveals, the killer bass work on Leviathan, and the crushing death vocals and noodly riffs of Sapphire. We also get some gorgeous female backing vocals later in from Ronit Alkaem, even furthering the drifting atmosphere. Incredible record, and this may be one of my all-time favorite album arts too, in my mind perfectly personifying the duality of light and darkness on display. Of course, this is going to perfection. It is a must-listen death metal album. It is on my shelf, and I will cherish it for years to come. But next up, we have Dreamless in 2016. Now, I'd say that this one picks up right where the previous one left off, while further expanding on some of the melodic qualities. After the tone is sufficiently set with the opening build of Face of Death, the jaw-dropping Adrenaline really lives up to its name. The heavy death metal side is once more preoccupied with proficient guitar work that picks and crunches its way through a union of technical and progressive styles. Riffs and drum patterns play with time signatures and rip through some killer solos alongside Alex's powerful growls. Things can get pretty crushing again, too, on tracks like The Prodigal Son. Meanwhile, the songs are once more consistently backed by a dense, uplifting atmosphere, especially on instrumental tracks like Fidelio and Les Silences. Sometimes these additions are purely electronic, others are achieved through use of piano, guitar effects, and copious amounts of lush reverb. If you ask me, I think Dreamless remains in the band's comfort zone while perhaps even further expanding and perfecting the sound. The seamless fusion of extreme and ethereal is quite grand, coming to a head on tracks like Scar Queen, Amber Gaze, and especially The Void Alone. That one featuring the lovely first appearance of female singer Tori Letzler, who continues to work with them to present day. I'm also putting this one at perfection. But then we got Undying Light in 2019. Anthony Palermo taking over on vocals here, and in regards to the question of how does Anthony stack up against Alex, in short, I'd say the answer is simply different. Counter to Alex's trademark low echoing death growl, Anthony has more of a high-pitched shriek. I'd honestly compare it more to a metalcore delivery than a death metal one, which is something that definitely turns some people off. And while I don't think it fits the music quite as well, I don't think it's a deal breaker either, since I don't necessarily come to Fallujah for the vocals anyways. For me, it's always been about the riffs and atmosphere. And on this front, there's still some good stuff to take in. Tracks like Eyes Like the Sun are prime examples with some really solid dynamic structuring that allows the explosive moments to really pop. Unfortunately, I'd still say that overall the instrumentation and songwriting takes a marked step back from Dreamless. Riffs feel less engaging and more streamlined, an issue further marred by what feels like comparatively flat production. Gun to my head, I couldn't hum you a single hook from this album, and I also found myself deeply missing the soothing backup vocals from Tori to offset the harsh ones. All things considered, Undying Light can't really hold a candle to Dreamless or The Flesh Prevails. It's not terrible, but honestly that makes it all the more frustrating to me, and it continues to stick out in my mind as one of the biggest disappointments in my metal journey when it comes to listening to this music and being excited about something. This one let me down. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one at good tier. But then we got Empyrean in 2022. Now, fortunately, I'd say Fallujah really rallied in a big way with this follow-up. Right down to the album art, this feels like the album that should have dropped after Dreamless, with tracks like Radiant Ascension bringing back that perfect balance of insane riffing and blissful atmosphere. And again, no shade to Anthony, but new vocalist Kyle Schaefer just feels like a much more suitable replacement for Alex with his great mix of high screams and deep death bellows, as well as a return of Tori's dreamlike cleans to drift on like a soft cloud. Not to mention some other great guest spots here, including Katie Thompson of Chiasma, David Wu, and my personal favorite, Cheney Crab of Antheos on Mindless Omnipotent Master. Once more, I am amazed at just how much this manages to be the musician's wet dream of an album while still offering so much more than just pure wankery. More great tracks. Embrace Oblivion has some seriously chaotic energy, incredible guitar work on Into the Eventide. Soulbreaker is also a banger. Major Redemption Arc, one of my favorite death metal albums of 2022. Maybe not quite high up as my favorites here, but very close. I'm putting it at fantastic. Before I get to my last pick, as always, be sure to hit the like button if you're enjoying the video and share your own rankings down in the comments. That helps me in the algorithm, and also I just like to see it. This is all just my opinion and I want to hear yours as well. But that brings us to Xenotaph in 2025. Another case where I'll be curious where the general consensus lands, because while instrumentally this keeps in a very similar vein as the last one, they definitely take some risks vocally. Personally, I don't have a problem with clean vocals in my death metal as a long-time melodeath enjoyer, but I'm sure there will be those that scoff at it just because.
I don't even know why you're mad.
As far as the execution goes, I've had a little over a month now to digest it, and I mostly like it. It rarely stands out, but it does add to the dynamics and generally feel like a good time to shake up the formula a bit in their discography anyways. Kaleidoscope Waves, for one, does a good job of creating a nice ebb and flow with the harsh vocals, and the contrast really makes the death growls sound that much more venomous. Also, I know Kyle was like playing with some new techniques on this one, which you can hear come through. Not to mention, of course, more great riffing as well, and that title, I think, really captures the best possible way to describe their sound. Labyrinth of Stone also brings the cleans more to the forefront, and it's here that I wish they would have made them a bit more memorable. It's a solid single, but it could have used more of a hook, in my opinion. And I don't think they make quite a good enough trade-off for Tori's notable absence once again. The Crystalline Veil, on the other hand, feels like it has a much better grasp on this with the more staccato delivery. The standout favorites for me right away, though, were Step Through the Portal and Breathe, with more awesome bass and just all-around great pacing, as well as the bombastic A Parasitic Dream, which gives me some Rivers of Nile vibes at times. But they also really end things on a strong note with the punchy The Obsidian Architect and at times Meshuggah-esque title track. Pretty tight 42-minute runtime. All said and done, another great chapter for the band. I think I'd put it slightly behind the last one, but still at the same tier overall. So it is going to Fantastic. Another awesome death metal record in a crazy year. Y'all check out this playlist for more death metal rankings, or this for your personal YouTube recommendation. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.